Hello, Formula One fans, and welcome to Fans Forum for the final time in 2025. It is about putting you lot in pole position and us having a fantastic conversation about what's gone down in the world of Formula One. More specifically, for this one, it is a season review. Can you believe it? The year has gone like that. 24 races, 27 live shows we've delivered with a whole host of guests. And today, my VIP guest is a man who has been there with us since the outset. And I'm really looking forward to this one because he's been our number one supporter and he is an F1 super fan. My man, Gary Thompson. Gary, good to have you here, buddy. And thank you so much for giving up your time for this evening.
No problem. Thanks for having us on, James.
So, Gaz, I mean, first and foremost, it's been an epic season, right? And we're going to be getting into it. You're sporting your papaya colours, and we know why, because Lando Norris has been confirmed as the 35th Formula One Drivers' World Champion. But have you always been a McLaren boy? I know you've got a huge soft spot for Lewis, and you're always keeping your eye on Mercedes. But without giving your age away, tell me about your glory years and where it all begun for you.
Back in the 80s, really, as a quite younger than I am now, but back when the British GP was at Brands Hatch, watching the likes of Mansell, Max's father-in-law running around the track as, I think it was Williams, wasn't it? Tim Williams.
Yeah.
So, and then just kept an eye on it. But then with my work, got involved with Silverstone, a couple of Grand Prix, saw Lewis's last win there. And yeah, it sort of just grew on me there. Then obviously the Drive to Survive, absolutely binge watched that. And just got right into it. And again, with your input on this show as well, it's just been a good season.
It's been fun to create that little community. And, you know, even for ourselves, we've got back in touch after working together many moons ago. We've got to give a shout out as well. Ewan is in the chat box. I don't know if you can see it up on your screen or your phone, Gaz. Ewan's in there, another ever present. So, Ewan, great to have you in again. And are you happy about the McLaren Lando Norris win, Ewan? Let us know in the chat box. And are you quite as old as Gary? When was your glory years, Ewan? So was it the 1980s? Following Mansell, PK, and all the rest of them as Williams dominated during that era, didn't they, Gaz?
That was awesome, all winning everything.
Yeah, Felix is in there as well, my main man over from Deutschland, Germany. So, Felix, good to have you in, buddy. What a season, as you said. But it was, of course, a season that initially we thought was just going to be a runaway season, didn't we, Gaz, for McLaren? Pretty much from halfway through last season, they've had the dominant machinery, but it didn't play out as such because there was a four-time world champion who had something to say. But before we get into Max's attack on defending his world title, guys, let's talk a little bit about the Papaya boys, Norris and Piastri. And from your perspective, although they talked about these Papaya rules, do you think behind closed doors, Gaz, that was really the case from the outset this season?
I'm not sure. I mean, if you go back to the launch event, F1 75, there's a lot of clips of Lando being interviewed. And then George Russell came in and said, oh, you're the outside, or you're the favourite for this year. And Lando was really sort of playing it down. So I'm not sure whether McLaren had a favourite or had Lando as the favourite over Oscar, or they just wanted to see how the first sort of 4 or 5 races panned out before they sort of made a decision on a number one driver or a driver they was going to favour. So, but as it goes, it extended far beyond the sort of first 5 races before they decided, even if they did decide if they was going to favour a driver.
Yeah, I mean, Lando's been there, obviously. It's his 6th, 7th season at McLaren, and there was that time, of course, where it wasn't going so well for the team. And I guess he's so embedded in that team. It would be difficult for him not to have had favouritism. Let's go even before the start of this season.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, but then Oscar was up and coming. So, I mean, their chemistry was really good. I mean, they always seemed to be really sort of friendly. Towards the end, once the constructors had been settled, you could see a little divide coming in. And having to swap places back, and you could see a little sort of, not rift, but there was definitely a divide at the garage.
Do you think that was a personal thing, though, or literally just business? Because it always felt when you saw them in press conferences, they didn't seem too bad, but you know, a championship fight is a championship fight, and at some point you've got to look after number one.
Races is races. You're both playing for the same team, for want of a better word, and they both want to win. They're both winners. They're both hungry to get that championship. But at one stage, it looked like Oscar was going to absolutely run away with it, especially with the DNF for Lando.
What was that? The Dutch Grand Prix where he was sitting on the hill after the engine failure,
and everyone thought was also was it Canada, the gap that wasn't there.
Yeah, that's right. When he crashed into the back of Oscar. There was Lando seemed to recover from these mini issues that he had. And when I was thinking about it today, that was probably the one thing you would say maybe at the moment Oscar doesn't have the experience to do. Like, it felt that when the cards were stacked against Oscar on a race weekend, then he made some real rash decisions, didn't he?
Yeah, but he is a decent driver. His experience is coming through now. I've no doubt them two boys will be fighting it out next season under the new regs. There'd be obviously, as Lando's going to be driving as number one, he's got to be obviously team lead now.
Oh, really? So that's your take on it. It can't be fair as far as you're concerned. What if Oscar out qualifies him for the first race of the season?
Do you then go back to whoever qualifies first gets sort of favoritism, not favoritism as such, but gets preferential treatment throughout that race?
Well, that kind of went out the window, didn't it, for Qatar?
Well, yeah, that first corner was something else.
Yeah, well, that kind of, I guess this is why so many people are asking these questions in and around the team, right? Because there was a moment where it was fairness, then it was fairness until whoever was in the lead or qualified best. Then Oscar, it was Lando who had to give something behind closed doors, but they weren't divulging what it was. Yeah. But then that got equalized when Oscar took them both out in Austin. Like, it just kept moving, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the swap back positions, if you think back to last season, it was a time, do you remember when, I think it was about 2 laps towards the end of the race, that they actually had to swap positions? Lando had to let Oscar go through.
From last season?
Yeah.
Right, I can't remember that.
Over the radio chat, it was like, remember, Lando, you can't win it on your own. You're going to need a team. We will need them at some point.
Yes, yeah, that's right. And Lando went silent and wasn't responding on the radio, and then left it to the second
was that sort of a payback one in the bag to pull out this season, where he had to sort of swap? I don't say, he had a slow pit stop. That's giving the place back. But
yeah,
you know, it might run deeper from just this season to last season. You're thinking about it.
So with that in mind, then, what kind of headspace, Gaz, do you think that Oscar Piastri is going to come into F1 for 2026? Could we end up seeing like a Nico Rosberg, like win at all costs?
I think, yeah. I think he'll be gunning for it. He'll feel that this year was his time to shine. I think he'll feel that he threw it away rather than Lando and Max catching him up. But then a lot of that could be to do with performance. They had some dodgy pit stop times.
Yeah. But
that was shared equally between both drivers. It wasn't just one that was getting poor pit stops all the time. But there was something wrong with the tyre gun or something, wasn't there? That wasn't triggering properly or wasn't. So.
Yeah, that was right, because it was the same wheel on both cars, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, there was a few things that, maybe in processes and systems towards the end of the season. It is a long old season, though, isn't it? And there's always going to be bits like that come up. I was watching the F1 podcast, though, and they were just saying that the Monza swap was what won it. The Monza swap, or also the Kimi Antonelli wobble, which was the 2 points that he needed to beat Max.
Yeah.
Let's forget Kimi Antonelli, because that's not within the papaya world, but the Monza swap, Gaz, thoughts on it now, seeing as it's been so important?
If it hadn't have happened, it could have been a totally different outcome at the end of the Drivers' Championship. Completely.
And I guess as well, the McLaren team must still be saying it was the right thing, because they would have lost out to a competitor and it wouldn't have been inter-team.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. It needed to happen for Lando to get that.
Mm. And the car itself, do you believe these rumours that the team stopped working on development and that's actually what ended up bridging the gap for Red Bull rather than Red Bull's performance? How did you see it? Or do you think it was more about the drivers that couldn't maybe manage the pressure?
I think a bit of both. I mean, once they'd got the Constructors' Championship tied up, it then started to seem to be lagging in pace. But then was the drivers putting themselves under a lot of pressure to perform or to outperform Max. You had Max coming up behind him. You had George Russell that was always pushing them. And then in the final race, you know, with that first corner, with Lando dropping down to third, Charles was straight on his gearbox for a good while on that race, pushing him all the way.
Yeah. So, guys, I guess the last question then is, out of these two, do you think that they'll be challenging again next year, or who do you think will outperform who? Is Lando the form guy, or is Piastri coming back? Is Piastri going to win at all costs?
Piastri was coming back towards the final couple of races in that season. It's going to be tight between them. I think there'll be a bit of a fallout within the garage, should we say?
Do you think long term these two can stay in the same garage together?
No. I think Lando will more than likely stay because of his loyalty. As you say, it's been there 7-8 seasons now. Piastri will want to move on. There's a lot of rumours floating about the end of the 2026 season. There's going to be a few seats coming up that teams would probably be quite happy to have Oscar jumping into.
Yeah. Again, the F1 podcast was just saying about Max Verstappen will pick the best car to drive in for 2027, which of course then leaves that Red Bull seat open. And we'll get into Red Bull in a little bit and you know where that team sits currently in transition from a dominant era as such. But yeah, we've had 18 months or so now of a domination from McLaren, and they've managed to get it over the line, back-to-back constructors titles for the first time since 1991. And great to see. So Ewan's telling us in the chat, he's older than us, guys. He's in his 60s. And he remembers watching James Hunt and Niki Lauda battling in 1976. Wow. So Ewan, we're absolutely loving that, buddy. It's great to see that we've got some even older school, shall I say, in the chat box than me and Gary. So let's push it forward then, guys, and talk about, again, another team that's close to your heart, Mercedes, who they'll be well happy, let's be honest, to see the back of this ground effect era. But at the same time, they've just started to push and resurge back. So are they going to be happy that it's a clean sweep again? Or you think that maybe they might go, oh, hang on, we're just getting on top of this?
I think it's going to be a bit of both, because at the end of the day, it's going to be the same for all 11 teams on the grid. They're all starting from scratch. It's almost like F1 is beginning again. But yeah, there will be a little bit sort of gutted as they would sort of push it. But then George was consistent completely through the season. He was always there. He was just going about his business, keeping under the radar. I think it suited George to have the focus on Max, Lando and Oscar, because it just let him get on with his thing. And I think he's been a pretty good mentor to Kimi as well, bringing him up for it. And obviously Toto's looking after him. It's they both did well this season. They both performed well.
Do you think in that team that George will still be a clear number one next season?
I think for the next season he will be, but I've got a feeling Kimi's going to start pushing him. Not sure on the stats on towards the end of the season qualification where Kimi was sitting with George. I know that was fairly close.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look here in front of me. I mean, quali ended up. I mean, George was quite a resounding 21-3 in quali overall, and I know like you said, Kimi started to push it back. But George, still regularly outperforming Kimi with regards to Grand Prix finishes.
Yeah, I think Kimi's going to start pushing him a little bit more. He's got the first season under his belt. He performed well, but then he had a good car to perform in. Depending on what the cars come out like in January in practice, not practicing,
testing.
Sort of testing.
Yeah.
Depends on the setup as well. Are they going to be set up similarly? They're going to favour George's setup over Kimi's setup.
Yeah, well, it's an unknown world, isn't it? And we saw that when they were struggling so much in the ground effects era, that they were saying possibly Lewis was a bit more of a guinea pig, right?
Yeah.
Would you expect George to take that lead again then as the more experienced driver?
Not so much of a guinea pig. Maybe use Kimi as the guinea pig because George is going to be up there as a contender pushing for the title, I think, next season.
Mm.
He's been in a good headspace. He sort of pushed aside the spats that he had with Max and just got on with business. He just got on with it. He just jumps in the car, tunnel vision focus, and put his tongue down.
I don't know if you can see the chat box, Gaz, but that Ewan's saying, right, 2027, Verstappen to Mercedes, Russell to Ferrari. That I can't see George in all red for some reason, and then Leclerc to Red Bull. Interestingly, so I mean, I guess Ewan is saying there then that maybe Ferrari aren't performing how they should. But I mean, could you see, like you said, like George potentially could be up there, but more than anything, even if he isn't, it feels like George really is in a headspace now that he expects to be, right, Gaz?
Yeah. I mean, how many seasons has he been with Mercedes now?
This is his third, wasn't it? And it'll be his fourth.
He's coming into his fourth.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got his feet firmly under the table. Do I think? Yeah, I think he'll push. I think a lot of distraction this season was the contract issue, wasn't it? There was sort of, is he going to sign? Isn't he going to sign? Are they going to give him a deal? We worked it out. It's 1 year with potential to extend, isn't it?
I mean, all of them, money talks, you know. There's like if a contract just means that it costs you more to get out of.
Yeah, I've got a theory on George for this season. I think he'll push hard and be a contender. But then I've heard whispers that Alonso's made it public that this season coming, 26 season, is going to be his last. I've got a feeling George is going to go to Aston.
Why? We'll get into Aston Martin in a little bit, but that feels strange because Fernando Alonso, why is he still going then? Like, does he not want to win a championship? Clearly not. He's just doing it for fun. And don't answer that yet. We'll get into that in a little while. But hold on to that rumor because we always love you and your rumor mills, Gaz, as well. But yeah, so George is ready to push, and then Kimi Antonelli. How would you grade him if we were giving him a report grade? Gaz, so we'll go old school, A to E, rather than 1 to 9, because you're probably like, what does that mean? But the old school A star then. How do you rate Kimi Antonelli for his performances this season?
I'd put him at a solid B, to be fair. He had how many podiums did he get? Was it 2?
Two podiums, wasn't it? Yeah.
Got sprint
3. Sorry. 3. Sorry, 3 podiums. Sao Paulo, Canada, and Vegas.
Yeah, he got a sprint pole, which he drove out of his socks for that one. But then did the pressure get a little bit to it? Being a rookie, sort of being at the front of the grid. Yeah,
well, it's understandable, isn't it?
I'll give him a solid B. I think he'll perform on par, if not better, next season.
And what are you expecting from Mercedes as an outfit then? You're saying you think George is going to be pushing to the front. You expect them to be returning to, let's go, both drivers' race wins?
Both will podium. George will get a race win somewhere along the line.
Yeah, but that's what they did this season. So, I mean, do you expect them to improve on this season, or do you think it'll be about the same?
Depends on the new car and the new regs and how everyone performs. To say it's going to be a tough one to call because it's just a clean slate for everyone. It's not going to be a clear cut. McLaren are not going to be dominating like they did this season. Hopefully, we'll get into it in a bit, but Max will have a car with Red Bull that's quite equal for their second driver.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Let's push it forward then, bud, and let's talk about the performance of Red Bull this year. And we know it's been another season where Max Verstappen has been carrying them. How have you rated Max's season, and what do you think the reason was for the turnaround in that car?
I don't know. Has it got something to do with Horner leaving? With the new TP coming in? because as soon as that happened, it's Red Bull started sparking.
Yeah.
They started pushing themselves up. Max has always been a steady driver. The car was letting him down. You could always hear on the team radio, it's bouncy, it's laggy, brakes are binding. There was always an issue with the car, but somehow he managed to drive it around them tracks at Mach 2 and start pulling points left, right, and centre, literally carrying the team again. But there's always that unsettling with the second driver, isn't there? You know, you've a second driver that's not performing, but then if the team's set up purely for Max to drive rather than sort of relying on him, I think Christian was relying on him a hell of a lot. He knew that the other car was undrivable.
Do you think they'll be sitting there in that garage giving it a lot of shoulda, woulda, coulda? Because if we talk about these sliding doors moments, we talked a little bit about it with the McLaren drivers, but with Max, if you talk about the penalty for purposely crashing into George, if you talk about the poor qualifying in it was the sprint, wasn't it, in Sao Paulo, and you know, again these little what Kimi Antonelli taking him out right at the beginning of, where was that, on lap 1 on the restart?
Yeah, that was.
Was it Austria? Austria, mate. But you know, and that one was out of his hands. But yeah, do you think overall they're going to be like, oh, we just missed out, or do they know that they've had a season where they were a bit lacking compared to previous?
They've had they knew they had a season that they were lacking. I mean, Max come out and said he wouldn't be surprised if they didn't win another Grand Prix throughout the season.
And then he won about 3 or 4.
Then he went up with about 3 or 4 and started.
Yeah, but that was also, like you said, also timing with Lauren McKee's coming in, right?
Yeah, great team principal. And I mean, all that stuff that was going on behind the scenes, which we probably don't know half of what went on with Horner, that must have been unsettling across the board.
Yeah.
So just to bring McKee's in to just steady that ship. And I think didn't he get a result on his first race in charge, didn't he?
I can't remember that, but I think you're going to see a very different type of leadership, aren't you? And I think a perfect example is, do you remember a team member tried to mess with Lando Norris's grid marker?
The grid on the light, yeah.
Yeah, and McKee's went into the team and had a go at them about doing that, and you know, and just talking about, I guess, the integrity of their racing. And
bring also, more of a fair play thing in, rather.
Yeah, and also possibly the reason that we didn't see a bit more gamesmanship in Abu Dhabi. Do you suspect?
I don't know. I mean, there was a fair bit of gamesmanship from Yuki in Abu Dhabi with his.
I mean, it was half a lap, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't nowhere near Checo Perez 2021 standards.
No, to be fair, I mean, Yuki could have quite easily wiped Lando out on that. It was a dodgy double move, sitting in the centre, weaving. And then I think he was surprised that he got a penalty for that.
You think it was fair then, how it played out, that Yuki got the penalty and Lando got away with track limits?
Yuki didn't give him enough room to get down the inside. There was more of a gap there than there was in Canada for Lando, so obviously going to go for it. But, I mean, Yuki could have done a lot worse. He could have totally written that off.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I think it was fair. He knew exactly what he was doing because, again, you saw on the team radio, I know what to do. So he was sort of almost like premeditated. Right, if he comes up on the inside, I'm going to squeeze him and push him off the track.
How did you watch it though, Gaz? Were you squeaky bum about the potential track limits, or were you like, oh no, hang on, that was just in reaction to another misdemeanor?
No, do you know what? I mean, I wasn't. No, I think it was always going to be okay track limits. I think the FIA, did they feel a little bit guilty for disqualifying both McLarens a couple of races before?
Right.
I mean, it was. If you was a conspiracy theorist, you'd say the FIA done that on purpose. It was like, right, we're going to wipe these two out just to bring the title closer, and we'll leave it for James to see live in Abu Dhabi to see who wins it.
Yeah, there were a lot. Yeah, there were a lot of people that were raising their eyebrows about that when I was trackside, and I did say, yeah, they did this for me because otherwise my job would have been a lot harder. Whereas, you know, now
all season. He was always saying, I wanted to go to the last race of the season. And that's before you knew you was going to Abu Dhabi.
Too true, yeah. But I just love a competitive race series, so I just want it to be fun and so that you can watch every Grand Prix on the edge of your seat. We got to talk about Yuki Tsunoda, of course, is now going to be sitting out a season in F1. Can you see a way back for him, a la Alex Albon? We have to remember that Alex Albon, now very established in F1, but he did very similar, right? He didn't make the grade and he had to sit it out for a year as a test driver.
So is what Bottas has done this season with Mercedes going into Cadillac. I think there's going to be a few, as I said earlier, going into the 27 season, I think there's going to be a good few seats open. Yuki's a good driver. I mean, you see what he done at VCARB.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe Mekis might have brought him along a little bit more, going to Red Bull, like linking back up again. I don't think we've seen the last of him.
Yeah, I felt for Yuki because I read an interview and it said, you know, he was half resentful because he feels like he was the guy who had developed that VCARB into what it was and had been fundamental in doing that and led that team. And then he's tried to make a move for his career. It hasn't worked out. And then he's almost been put on the scrap heap.
Yeah. I mean, he's still there. Is he test and reserve driver now, isn't he, for Red Bull? It'd be interesting, especially with Hadjar coming in. Be interesting to see, again, depends how the car's set up, how Hadjar reacts to moving up to the senior team. I wouldn't be surprised to see Yuki possibly, you know, there could be an illness or something where he has to come in as a reserve driver just to see how he goes.
Or possibly even at VCARB, right? Because I guess it's a similar position for Liam Lawson, right? It's like, where does his future actually lie? So if you're midway through next season and it's not going well, we know that they're partial to making driver switches. You got the young man Arvid Lindblad going in there as well. So you know, if all of a sudden they think, hang on, we've got Yuki sitting in the sidelines who is very good at driving that car, but then saying that we've had a whole regs change. There's so many factors.
Yeah, I mean, can they take him from Red Bull from the senior team to VCARB mid-season? Is he contracted or is it contracted Red Bull across the board?
That's a good question, but I'm pretty sure that you can jump in because if you wasn't, Colapinto was a reserve driver for Alpine, wasn't he? Yeah. Good question, guys. I'm not sure specifically, but again, money talks. I'm sure there's a way of getting around it with the right type of lawyers.
Yeah.
So looking at the Red Bull outfit as well and the dominant team from like 22, 23 and then halfway through 24, Helmut Marko's now gone as well and it leaves just Max from that little glory era.
Yeah.
Where do you see this team's future?
Again, everyone's left at the right time, haven't they, with the new regs coming in. So there's no marker there to see where you're at. You've got to wait. We've got to wait and see what happens in testing. Be interesting to see who comes in.
What, in replacing Helmut Marko?
Yeah, could Jos come in the Marko position?
You know what? Very true, because we've seen what he created with Max Verstappen, and someone to bring those young drivers through and have the opinion of who is the right one to push through as well, and what it takes to train these young men. Although they do say that Max was trained like a machine, somewhat to his detriment on occasions. Yeah,
true.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to watch and see how it all pans out. And like we said, so the young man Arvid Lindblad is going to go in the junior team as well. So everyone will be keeping their eye on how he does as well this season. So let's push it forward then, guys. Talk about Scuderia Ferrari. So what were your first initial impressions when you heard that Lewis was going to Ferrari, and what did you expect to happen for this season before anyone had gone out on circuit?
I expected at least for him to podium in a main race. And I think we've had conversations on here before that guy's got so much knowledge, experience, and the team should have tapped into it a lot more than they actually did. You could hear the frustration in both the drivers every single race, whether it was, I don't know, just a lost in translation instructions. You think Lewis has been used to having Bono in his ear for God knows how many years, and then all of a sudden they're sort of trying to tell him how to drive, and he's like, I know how to drive, just let me get on with it. But he was let down by the performance of the car. Although saying that, he did get a sprint win, didn't he? One sprint win.
Yeah, he got the sprint win and the pole position for China, and then he got a podium in another sprint as well. I'm sure he got a P3. But with Lewis and his performance, like I think both of them in the initial race, that was an anomaly, right? Because there was all the rain in Australia. But China, we saw fantastic performance in the sprint, and then they both got disqualified in the Grand Prix. It was like in that moment, the whole design ethos of that car was basically binned, wasn't it? They tried to run it, what they thought was going to be optimum performance, and it didn't pass the regulations. And then they never really recovered from that for the rest of the season.
See, this doesn't confuse me, but they was running too low. I mean, these guys are paid decent money. How hard is it to get the running height right so you're not going to wear that block down?
Yeah, but that's the thing. You run it, don't you, on a assumption of what happens during the race, and so you never know what's going to happen.
Different caveats as to what could happen, whether it's running on a low tire pressure, slightly heavier fuel, whatever, different conditions, pushing it down. But I know we're talking sort of millimeters.
Well, 1/10 of millimeters. That's what McLaren got disqualified for.
But it's almost like you've got one job: make sure this car is right at the end of this race. It's I don't know what's going on at McLaren, at Ferrari.
Well, they could just never get near before. That was the only weekend where you saw pace in a moment, and they just couldn't recreate it. And it just shows, like, who has to take the blame for that? I know, like, Fred Vasseur is the boss, but he's not such an engineer head, is he? There's going to have been someone put in charge from a CFD to wind tunnel to real world car design that has to take some form of accountability. And I wonder if we'll ever hear it. Like Mercedes eventually came out and went, oh, hands up, our wind tunnel's wrong. And then you saw the personnel in the background change around a little bit. Do you think we'll ever see the likes of that from Ferrari? Or they're just going to pretend it never happened?
They keep their cars very close to their chest, don't they? They're not the sort of, this is what's happened, this is what's wrong. They'll just sort of, not sweep it under the carpet as such, but they'll just sort of crack on, and a few sort of moans and groans in the back, and just rectify it for next season, hopefully.
And how do they rectify it? Does the 7-time world champion recover? And who needs to yield for you? Is it completely the team? Does Lewis need to give a little too?
There's got to be a bit of give and take on both sides. I mean, it's almost like Lewis was going in as a rookie this season. The best way, he's sort of fresh car, fresh team. They've both got to give, but they've got to listen to each other. They've got to, what do you think about this? Well, if I try it this way, this might be better. Let's, and run on different strategies for both drivers.
Yeah.
Rather than putting all their eggs in one basket, just run them on different strategies and see what works best. Two sides of the garage talk to each other. Just, what's your car doing on this turn? How have you got set up for this? And just share information. Just because at the end of the day, like we said before, it's the team first, isn't it? Team first and then second, which was proved with McLaren. They got the championship, and then they started letting the drivers do what they needed to do.
Yeah, I saw that Ferrari won the quickest average pit stop time. So it feels like we've gone full circle, because previously Ferrari had a good car, but they couldn't do pit stops. Now they're really good at pit stops, but they don't have the car.
Yeah. Maybe next season they'll get it right.
Yeah, they'll have a balance of both. Charles Leclerc, pivotal year 2026. And what did you make of him generally this year, Gaz? I was sat there thinking a little bit like, it just felt like he was on autopilot almost.
Didn't seem to push himself. I mean, I think he was pushing hard in Abu Dhabi. He was as I say, he was right on the tail of Norris for a good part of that race.
Mm.
But the rest of the season, it was almost like just going through the motions. It didn't seem to. I think he knew that the car wasn't up to performance to get a championship shot.
Mm.
I think he was just sort of. Was he blaming the team so much, and that's what sort of give him a little bit of negative energy? I don't know.
I guess there's probably a lot to get over psychologically for Charles, because there must have been such excitement at the beginning of 2022 when he went back to back with Max, didn't he, for like 5 or 6 races. And then, we have to say it was Charles really that threw it away as much as the team.
Yeah, 100%. Did he feel a little bit put out that Lewis had come in with all this hype and his type was behind him? Did he feel that he was getting pushed out a little bit and not the favourite child to start off with, because all the focus was on Lewis coming into Ferrari?
I mean, he's done his talking on the track. He's done his talking on the track, hasn't he? Like, he completely outperformed Lewis in qualifying and Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Would you expect more of the same next year, Gaz? Without your Lewis hat on.
Without my Lewis hat on, I think he will. Yeah, I think he will. But
both
again,
one lap and Grand Prix.
Say again.
Both 1 lap and Grand Prix, so he will outperform in both. You think even with racecraft?
Yeah, 100%.
All right, so you think it's really done for Lewis with regards to an 8th title?
I don't think he'll get it with Ferrari.
All right, so you think he could move elsewhere and get it somewhere else?
You never know. Stranger things have happened. I mean, I just don't think going on this season, I don't think Ferrari have got the pace. Obviously, Lewis has the skill, but they've just got to communicate more in the sheds, haven't they? They've got to talk more.
I'm just putting it in the chat, just asking everyone. Aston Martin 2027, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton.
George and
led
Lewis.
by Adrian Newey.
About George and Lewis.
Aston. If it's the best car, Max will be there.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And then what happens there? So you've got Max and Lewis in the same machinery.
Max, just because he's
younger.
Hungrier.
Yeah, okay. He'd be slightly hungrier to prove himself against Lewis, perhaps.
Yeah.
But would all hell break loose between them in the garage?
Oh, carnage. Absolute carnage.
It'll be fun for us all to watch, though, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So just to finish that then on the Scuderia. So next year, you can see an improvement, but it's not going to be championship standard and pedigree.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to improve. I think for Vasseur, they've got to improve. I think if they don't improve over the first sort of 4 or 5 races next season, Vasseur could be looking for an exit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking for even when there was, like, when you look across the season, look at where Charles' podiums were. There wasn't even like it was a Lewis then in 4th, like right behind. No. There was 2 3rd and 4ths. But apart from that, yeah, it wasn't like Lewis was right behind him at any point, and only two P2s as well for Charles Leclerc. But that's not what they would have expected.
Completely wrong as well. Most of the season for Ferrari. I mean, even the strategy calls from Ferrari all season were shocking. And even
they weren't brave, were they?
No, they played it safe all the time.
And do you think that was a case of not upsetting the drivers? So again, a bit of a potential, because we don't have a number 1, because they've got a golden boy and a legend now. Do you think that could cause them problems moving forwards?
They just, again, they need to talk and iron it out pre-season, and then just get on with it, let them race and listen to the drivers.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, Gaz. We'll be back for 2026. We're pushing forwards to Williams, and one close to your heart, like you said, from your glory days following Nigel Mansell and co. and the most improved performers this season. So from P9 to P5, would you have expected that? I mean, that's a huge jump. And then Carlos Sainz going on to actually secure 2 podiums. Did you think that was possible at the beginning of the season?
With Sainz as a driver, anything's possible. He's, again, a quality driver. Williams were coming back. They're bounding back. Albon's a good driver. You know, he sort of tailed off towards the end of the season, but was that performance related or driver error? It's difficult to call, but there's more to come from Sainz. There's more to come from Williams.
Yeah, what was quite interesting is Alex Albon started the season on fire, didn't he? Like, he was absolutely flying. 7 points finishes in the first 8 races. Almost like a bit of a statement, because do you reckon, a bit like Charles Leclerc, that perhaps when Carlos Sainz was signed, he was a bit like put out?
Albon don't strike me as the sort of person that feels like he gets put out. I think he just gets in and gets on with a job, and he's, you know, he seems a pretty level-headed driver. I mean, that's a good pairing that Williams have got with them two. And I think if they can get the setup right, they'll be pushing to improve on this season and sort of running up. Depending on setup, they could quite easily run up and give Red Bull a bit of a run for their money. Yeah,
really nice as well that they finished bang next to each other, only 9 points separating them in the championship. So Albon in 8th, Sainz in 9th. They got 2 fantastic drivers pushing them forwards. Do you think this performance raises Alex Albon's stock, doesn't it? Because he's going up against a Grand Prix winner, a guy that was signed for Ferrari and has only lost his position at Ferrari because of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This has got to have a few people monitoring that situation, perhaps, do you think, in case someone starts to look for pastures new?
Where could you see him going?
I don't know, but Ewan makes the point. Look, Mansell and Piquet as teammates. That's a very good point, actually, because wasn't it that Piquet was secretly signed as number 1, but everyone forgot to tell Nigel Mansell? And so you could end up in that kind of situation. And yeah, maybe again, you're going to end up with a garage that doesn't have a distinct number 1, and that could cause issue at some point.
I don't know. I mean, James Vowles is level-headed. I mean, you met him on the way back from, was it Bahrain that you come back from?
Yeah. No, yeah, really nice guy, yeah.
He comes across as very, very level-headed. When you hear him speaking on the pit wall, he's just so calm, calculated. He doesn't stand any nonsense. I don't think he'd allow that to happen in the garage. I think it's all down to team management.
But you've got 20 guys on the grid that all think if they were in the best car, they'd be world champion, though.
Nah, there can only be one, I know. But again, they'll let them race. They'll let them race. They'll let the racers do the talking.
Yeah. Overall, it was. I think many people were slightly surprised that Albon pushed Sainz as he did. But then you have to remember that Albon's been at that team. Was this his 4th season?
I think, it's his 5th season, 26, isn't he?
Yeah. So been there a long time, but the future looks good for Williams.
Yeah.
So you can see them cracking into perhaps that top 4 next season, and if they carry on with this trajectory.
Yeah, I think they can. The potential's there for it, especially with the driver pairing that they've got.
Wow. I mean, could you imagine that? When I was working there a few years ago, it was, you were there trying to get people enthused about Alex Albon perhaps scrapping the odd point and Logan Sargent, bringing up the rear. And it's really changed in a short amount of time. And you can see that with the partners coming on board as well. And we got to remember that all of that is extra money, then every position in the constructors as well. And they've now clearly positioned themselves as the best of the rest. Yeah, there's a 40 odd point gap between them and the Racing Bulls in P6.
Yeah.
And we saw as well Carlos Sainz again improving a team. Every team he's gone to has improved. And you think he'll sit it out of Williams? You couldn't see him joining this 2027 merry-go-round if it happens?
I don't think he will. He's even said in post-race interviews there's a lot more to come from him and from Williams. And he's got nothing to prove really, is he? He'll just go on and be the smooth operator he is and just carry on doing his thing, enjoying life.
You want to hear those dulcet tones once again, do you?
It will happen.
Let's push it forward then, bud. Talk about the Racing Bulls, VCarb. So there's obviously a big change that's coming out of this team, but it's come from the fact that the young rookie, Isaac Hadjar, had a rookie season that no one would have called after he spun his car and was spun out of the Australian Grand Prix on the formation lap. Again, what have you made of his performance across the season? If you were going to give him an exam grading, what would Isaac Hadjar get?
Give him a B+. To come
back,
back,
a B+.
Yeah, to come back from that, as you say, that spin-off in Australia, which he was absolutely devastated for him. But then what a nice touch from Anthony Hamilton, just sort of putting his arm around him and sort of giving him a shoulder to cry on, so to speak.
Yeah.
It couldn't have got any worse for him at that point. He had nothing else to lose. And you've seen him mature as the weeks have gone by, as the races have gone by. He's put in a pretty solid performance every other race. He deserves the spot at Red Bull, I believe.
Well, the qualifying performance has been unreal, hasn't it? 16 Q3 appearances in your rookie season in a midfield team.
Yeah,
It's stellar. And if you can end up in a top 14 where you're not in that pack fighting for your life on lap one, there's a lot more points for a driver to be had, isn't there?
Oh, 100%. Do you think that going to Red Bull next season is a good move for him?
I think you have to take these opportunities when they come, right? Because if somebody else goes in there and then they're decent and then Max decides to stay, then you don't get that chance again. And then let's say you've got a young cat coming through from the Red Bull Academy and you've now done 3-4 seasons there and they're not seeing the push on that they want. And all of a sudden you find yourself out of a job. So, I'm sure it comes with a nice financial reward as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, how do you think, like, Lawson now feels? Because he went there, he went back, and now he hasn't got a seat.
Well, no, Lawson's got a seat. Lawson's there next year. Yeah, Lawson's alongside Arvid Lindblad.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so, he's in a kind of no man's land because he's been demoted from the senior team. And the point is to create drivers for that team.
True.
But he's just really got to get his head down. And, across the second half of the season, he put some points on the board and he's racing for his future, I think, in 2026. He's just got to put in a performance that opens up interest elsewhere because he's got to know that he might have 1, maybe 2 more seasons at that team because they're not going to put him back in the senior team. But then maybe they might because they only gave him 2 races, which was completely unfair.
Do you think Hadjar will complete the season at Red Bull?
Who knows? Like no one has a crystal ball. I mean, if he's not doing well, then the answer would be no. And they might put they might put Lawson back in. Because I think part of Lawson getting the chop after 2 races was the fact that the next race was Japan. So they thought about it from a marketing perspective just as much as they thought about performance, because it is mental to get rid of a driver after 2 races.
Yeah.
But then they went, hang on, if we switch it now, we can do a whole promo with Yuki. We can plaster him all over the circuit and all, and the coffers are just going to be chinging. I think a part of that was to do with it.
Be interesting. It'll be an interesting watch.
Yeah, for sure. Isaac Hadjar, like you said, great performance. He's going to go into the senior team. Do you think he'll last the season? How do you think he'll do? Like, do you think that they surely can't have engineered a car that is as favourable to Max once again?
You'd like
Because
to think
it's costing them in the constructors, isn't it?
Yeah, you'd like to think that they've equally shared the knowledge and the performance for a car that's drivable for both drivers. They can't rely on Max to carry the team. As you say, Agile's a decent driver. For a rookie, he's had a blinding season, and I hope he does well. I hope it hasn't got that second seat curse for him.
Yeah, and the problem you got though, even like Lauren McKee's coming in, he's only coming halfway through this year. We know since towards the end of last year, 2024, that you've begun the design process for the new regs. So McKee's won't be able to like lead the design process, but he can sprinkle his knowledge over it. And I guess even that's the point with VCarb. So where do you see their performance next year? Because Lauren McKee has performed really well there, and he must have been a part of that performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll have another decent run at it. I don't think they'll struggle. But again, it's, as you say, no one's got a crystal ball. It's difficult to call with the new regs and everything coming in. It just levels that playing field right out for this season coming, with everything brand new coming in. Drivers have got to get used to new systems. No stress. It's
completely different way of driving. Yeah, and the cars apparently feel a lot more like the F2 car, which could favour the younger driver.
Well, aren't they? The new regs. The cars are shorter this season, aren't they?
Yeah, the cars are going to be lighter, shorter, and narrower.
Which make it interesting for overtakes. Might get a few more overtakes, but then
obviously active aero, and then also when you're within a second, you also get extra electrical energy to make an overtake as well, so alongside active aero.
Okay,
so there's a lot to implement from a driver perspective on the steering wheel. Let's push it forward then, Bugs. We've got about 10 minutes or so left, and just talk a little bit about Aston Martin, who we know what's gone on behind the scenes. We know there's been a blank checkbook there. But the season, I mean, they seem to be going the wrong way the last couple of seasons, don't they? Which is somewhat of a surprise. Or, I mean, you could look at it. They had that kind of Red Bull mule car, didn't they? Was it in 2021 or 22? And and then it feels like they haven't been able to evolve from that.
Where do you start? I mean, again, you're on about the F1 merry-go-round. There's a merry-go-round going on at Aston at the minute, isn't there? With Newey coming in, and he's now taken over as team principal. As you say, the checkbook seems to be endless from Stroll Senior. But then how long does he allow his son to keep on attacking the bank account with the repairs from putting it in walls and such likes?
And he's already taken extra investment, hasn't he, from elsewhere now? So it was obviously the big dream and idea, and he brought Aston Martin into F1 and combined it with the consumer brand, but he's now separated them again, and he's taken investment in the F1 team. So that there could be, I guess, at some point, a strategic exit from Stroll. He is a businessman after all.
Yeah. I mean, maybe his wrists will play up that bad that he can't drive after he broke them, but miraculously come back about 2 weeks later. I think Aston Martin could be a team to watch next season, especially with Newey coming in with the development. They've got a new wind tunnel up at Silverstone now.
That's right. They've got state-of-the-art facilities. Everything's there. So even if
to go up there to on a visit day and have a walk around. It's an amazing facility they've got. It really
so even if the Strolls leave, the team will still exist. Whoever goes in there, they've got a platform for performance, haven't they?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think, again, we've said all season the Newey factor going into Aston Martin. It was never about this season just gone. It was all gearing up to 2026. Period have had input from the get-go.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing that on track in January, see what it does.
Yeah, we also saw, didn't we? Once Newey was in there, I think even even that must have sprinkled a little something, because that was when we started to see a bitter performance. Because before that, Fernando Alonso was nowhere to be seen in the first 8 races.
Oh.
And then it was only kind of from about a third of the way into the season that he started to perform.
But it'd
be interesting.
Started off quite strong, didn't he?
Stroll got back-to-back points, didn't he, in the first 2 races? We know he's pretty good in the wets.
Yeah.
But yeah, if the Strolls stay, it's going to be interesting. If they leave, it's going to be interesting. And then, seeing Newey as a team boss as well. And I'm sure he'll still have an overview of all of the aerodynamics.
Aston's going to be my team to watch next season.
And the Honda power unit. So Honda, goodbye to Red Bull, but hello to Aston Martin.
Yeah, be interesting. There's going to be new power units for new power units for every team this season, isn't it? It's still all changed.
Oh yeah, it's the new. It's 50-50 internal combustion engine and electrical power. They're all 100% biofuel, and you've got Red Bull making their own, they've said goodbye to Honda, but Honda's coming in with Aston Martin. Mercedes are providing quite a few, and then again Ferrari are, including Cadillac.
Yeah.
Audi are doing their own, off the top of my head. I think.
Not sure.
Yeah. So power unit's going to be key, and Honda have had a dominant one again for the last 4 seasons.
Yeah. Let the good times roll.
Haas, what have you made Haas overall this season? I was quite surprised when I was prepping for this show that they've actually gone backwards a little bit with regards to constructors' performance, gone to P8 from P7, but there's been a lot made of Ollie Behrman, hasn't there? Like towards the latter half of the season, Ollie Behrman's really got his flow going.
He was always going to be one to watch, wasn't he? After he stepped in for Sainz at Ferrari last season, his name was on everybody's lips. So it was interesting to see him perform. And he was sitting regularly at P11 for a good while, wasn't he? And all of a sudden he sort of kicked in and started getting a few more points.
That's right. Yeah. Did multiple P11s. Let's have a look at that. Where was that in the season? That was from Canada through to Belgium. So four P11s in a row, then a retirement, and then a little stint of regular points.
Yeah,
which that he threatened to be their second ever top 10 finisher, didn't he? But he didn't quite pull it off.
But I mean, I've rated him when he stepped in last season for Sainz. I mean, to jump in that Ferrari and was it P7?
Yeah, and he just got a call from Fred, and he was prepping for F2 the night before, and then all of a sudden made the step up and scored points for Haas as well when he went in for Mag.
It was always going to be something special and one to watch.
Yeah, one of the most well-spoken young men from Essex ever as well. Pardon?
Is there such a thing?
Well, he's from Essex, Chelmsford, apparently. Yeah. What do you think is his future? Like we're talking about, it could be difficult times at Ferrari. Do you think it's inevitable that one day Ollie Behrman could race at Ferrari?
Yeah. I think I said it a couple of weeks ago. Lewis's last season at Ferrari, definitely, possibly one. Behrman's the natural replacement, surely. He's got to step up to the mark, even if he goes in as number 2 driver. I think we'll see Behrman in red in 27.
Well, yeah, when Ferrari calls, again, it's a bit like Red Bull and the senior team for the younger racers. You go, whoever you are, when Ferrari calls, you go, right? Because it's just iconic.
Yeah, you've got to do it. You can't turn around and say no.
And Esteban Ocon having a solid season. I think a few eyebrows were raised leaving Alpine to go to Haas. But, I mean, Alpine at the end of last season got that double podium with Sao Paulo, and that papered over cracks. Like Alpine would have once again been P9 or P10 if it wasn't for that big haul of points. But yeah, Ocon was then touting himself around, wasn't he? And ended up at Haas, which was somewhat surprising.
Yeah. I think we've said Haas have been pushing themselves this season with the knowledge that Cadillac are coming in. Another American team. all eyes are going to be on Cadillac. So Haas have sort of been pushing themselves not to get swallowed up, I think.
Yeah, it's a good point. Well, even if you feed off the scraps of Cadillac, you know what I mean? Cadillac put eyes on it and they're like, oh my God, Haas. Yeah, I watch NASCAR, and whatever. And then they go, I didn't realize they had a team. I mean, look at them. And Ewan's asking, do you think Behrman could be a future world champion, mate?
Do I think?
Yeah.
The potential's there. He's still raw and rough around the edges, but he'll refine that, and he's proving that he's more than capable of mixing it with the best of them.
Well, an established F1 driver and his teammate this year, and they're pretty light for light. I mean, he's beat him actually in qualifying, but they ended up finishing 12-12 for Grand Prix. So that's not bad for your rookie season, is it? Actually, give us a grade for Ollie Behrman.
I've got to give Ollie an A.
What?
Yeah, he done well considering he was in a Haas.
Okay, all right.
He's it'd be interesting to see what he could have done in a full season in a good.
So you've given Behrman an A in a Haas who got 41 points. Oh, okay. No, do you know what, Gaz? Yeah, all right. Because Hadjar's only one place above him in P12 in the drivers, 10 points ahead. I thought Hadjar would have been higher up.
He might have been if he hadn't spun out in Australia.
Yeah, too true. Yeah. What about Ollie? I'm just looking at only 6 Q3 appearances, but regularly in Q2, which again is what you'd look at when driving a Haas. So just to bring up the back then, mate. First up, Sauber. I guess really the highlight for them was the Nico Hülkenberg podium, right? Were you glad to see that? I mean, were you surprised?
It's nice to see the underdog teams perform, because as a spectator looking in, it's what you want. Everyone loves an underdog. Like I can well imagine that a good percentage of people wanted Max to come back and win that title because he was so far behind, and he was for a good part of that season the underdog, being so far behind. Everyone loves to see an underdog do well.
Yeah, with
a good driver.
That Sauber team, most points that they've acquired since 2012, they've only moved up one place in the constructors, but 70 points from, was it 4 or 6? There was 1 points finish for them last season for Guan Yu Zhou, and that was it. And then this season, there's been plentiful. You've had 9 from Hülkenberg and 5 from Bortoleto. So, performed really well.
Build up from turning over to Audi.
Yeah, the likes of Jonathan Wheatley
a bit for Audi to come in and take over. I should imagine the majority of the garage and that will just sort of go over to Audi. Will they bring a complete new team in?
No, I think it will just transition. The whole team will transition, and they've already been putting people in place, and that's why you've seen such a turnaround in performance. So, what do you think for Audi next year? Where do you see them in and around the grid? Like, if you had to compare them to another team, we think they'll be around whose level?
I think Audi, Haas, and Cadillac are going to be very, very close together next season.
Mm-hmm. And you still think Alpine will be amongst the bottom with the new Mercedes power unit?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to change a lot. I mean, I know it's a new power unit coming in, but you've still got the same drivers. I mean, they will push, but I think, they're going to be your bottom 4.
Yeah, I mean, but Gasly didn't do too bad this season. I mean, so there was 5 points finishes for Gasly, right? And if you look at qualifying, which shows you the potential pace that's in there, 9 Q3 appearances for Gasly. Colapinto now will actually have a pre-season, because I think Colapinto came in after 6 races, and I guess what we take for granted is that you're constantly playing catch-up, right? You think about all the preparation that's done for an F1 driver in pre-season. Yeah, you're a part of it as a reserve driver, but you're not properly in and amongst it.
You're just on that cusp of breaking in. You say you're not getting the treatment that the drivers do.
Yeah, and so that's how his 2 half seasons that he's had in F1 so far have been. So I think for Colapinto, we possibly need to give him this season as the first judgment. I say that as a Charlton fan, and Nathan Jones, what he did in his first full season.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. So I think, Colapinto, we should watch out for him. We've almost organically then moved on there, mate, just to finish it up onto Alpine. You think they're going to be struggling towards the bottom still?
But they're going to be around sort of bottom 4. They'll get a couple of Q2s. I don't think they're going to push it. But we're saying that no one knows that. Yeah. Let's see what happens in January when they start getting on track and seeing what these new cars are doing.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what kind of access we'll have to that, because the first one in January is called a private test. So and when I was watching Sky Sports, they didn't reference it. They just referenced the 2. So maybe we're not going to get that on broadcast. You know, they show the full day's testing, don't they, in Barcelona and Bahrain? Maybe the other one's behind closed doors and we'll only get reports on it. Who knows?
It'll be streamed somewhere, I'm sure. We'll be out there.
Yeah, hopefully we can find it. That'll be good. What's Ewan's just saying here? Over the winter, get Alicia and Jordan on and do a video chat about women in F1. All right, bud. Yeah, we'll try and sort something out. Although I will be having a rest. I can't wait to have a few Sundays off and not think about it. I love talking about this and I love doing it. But, at the same time, it'll be like, oh, my God, a few Sundays where I've not got to worry about anything and turning it round. Sorry, Mondays. Again, I always get Monday and Sunday confused, I think, because of this, because I'm still in F1 mode on a Monday when F1 day is Sunday. But, yeah, it's been great, though, to do this season and push myself out of my comfort zone to a certain extent as well. Just to end, Gaz, Cadillac coming in. So Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez, more than 500 Grand Prix between them, 16 race wins. Or just over 100 podiums there on my quick maths? 23 pole positions.
Who'd you put as the number 1 driver?
Will there be one? There we go. We've asked that across a few teams, haven't we? I mean, I feel like Valtteri Bottas is in the twilight of his career, but statistically, he is the stronger driver. I think
Perez has been out for a season.
Yeah, Bottas has only been doing silly memes and being a reserve driver. So I think maybe you just go toe-to-toe and it's whoever performs best in qualifying gets first dibs again.
How do you reckon Cadillac's going to perform early part?
I mean, you're coming in brand new. It's going to be very, very difficult. But then saying that, they've been simulating all races this year. So they're trying to play catch-up as quickly as they can. Yeah. I think you've got to look at if they can do the kind of performance that Sauber have done this year. I think it'll be a great year. If they could finish P9 and if they could score, upwards of 50 points, I think that's a successful year for a team that's starting brand new in the race series.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
In place yet?
Pardon?
Have they got a team principal in place yet?
Good point. Good point. Off the top of my head, I can't think.
Horner return?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think he's been calling up every single team, hasn't he? According to the rumors.
He's been linked with everyone, hasn't he?
Yeah, I'm sure he already organised a consortium to try and buy Red Bull F1, and that was what again put a lot of people's noses out of joint towards the end of his tenure, I think. But we will see. Oh, here we go. Ewan saying Graham Loden.
Oh, okay.
Graham Loden is in as TP, and they've got Pat Simmons as well in there. He's like some kind of chief consultant with all of his experience previously, and that was the feature that I watched, and he was talking about all the race simulations for all 24 Grand Prix this season at all 3 of their locations, because they've got a HQ in Italy because their power unit providers are Ferrari. They've got a base in the UK and a base stateside.
Yeah, their base in the UK is right opposite the Aston Martin factory.
Yeah. Well, that's where you need it, mate. Motorsport Valley, where the talent is.
Loving that.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, it has been an absolute pleasure to catch up, my man. And I want to say, first and foremost, thank you for today. But thank you for your support across all of this year. And I hope the little gifts that I've managed to swing you every now and again from my visits have kind of been somewhat of a reward for that.
Mate, absolutely loved it. It's been a pleasure being on with you. It's been good. It's been a great season. You've done a good thing with us.
Cheers, man. Thank you. And Ewan as well. Thank you so much, buddy, for tuning into pretty much all of the shows. The support does not go unnoticed. Felix, if you're still in there, thank you for tuning in pretty regularly as well. And anybody else. And I genuinely, authentically really mean it. Thank you for the support. And it's been fun to push myself, like I said earlier, out my comfort zone and just use this as a platform to showcase my talents. I will be taking a rest now until I've not planned 2026 yet, but I should get a planner up on the wall for the new year because I've not done that yet. And possibly, I mean, it's my birthday, the end of January. So maybe just before my birthday, we could do a little season preview with a few guests. And I'll definitely be posting some things across the socials as we build up the energy and excitement for the 2026 season. Whole new regulation, and it's going to be a whole new order of things. Gary, who's your world champion, seeing as we don't know anything before you leave?
Oh, you put me right on it with that one. Max. Okay. Max is the one that comes to terms with it and maybe cracks the whip on his team to ensure that even if it's not going well initially, that they develop the car across the year. But will be interesting, of course, is the new Red Bull powertrains alongside Ford with the electrical element. But guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Gaz, thank you for joining me, and I'll be in touch about getting your goodies over from Abu Dhabi, and we will see you people for 2026. Thanks for your support this year, and we'll see you soon. Take care.